It's a different machine.
Self-confidence will be...
And time waits for no man, as the saying goes. I just think that this is a fight. It's exciting. It's a good fight. You've got to make Usyk the favourite, but it's a fight that Daniel Dubois can definitely win.
I think Daniel Dubois, he's on a roll. He's coming off of a massive win against AJ. Usyk's also on a massive roll. So I think that fight's going to come down to mindset.
On Daniel Dubois against Oleksandr Usyk, realistically, has he got any chance? We've got 30 seconds.
Of course he has. Look, it's a tough ask, of course. The thing with Usyk is he doesn't depend on his power to knock you out. He depends on his skill. That's why it's a tough ask, because he's going to box rings around you if you let him. Dubois, good luck. Don Charles, good luck. Great British boxing, good luck. We potentially might have a heavyweight championship back.
Carl Froch has thrown gasoline on a fire, already burning hot. He's fanning the flames of a rematch that's grown far beyond a simple second chance. It's now a war over identity, legitimacy, and legacy. Froch hyped Daniel Dubois as a reborn savage, a transformed force of...
Scary. Well, I do think now, I think this is caught up now as well.
Right.
So I think he's going to be a dangerous man.
Nature, ready to unleash vengeance on Oleksandr Usyk. But for all the war cries and bold claims, Froch sounded less like a man convinced of an upset and more like someone desperately trying to convince himself. Beneath the bravado, there's an unease, an acknowledgement of the truth he can't shake. Usyk isn't just another opponent. He's a surgical monster, a ghost in gloves who thrives on expectation.
He never capitalised on it.
Yeah.
I sparred him for maybe 40 rounds in 2 weeks. I didn't hit him with one shot. Dubois might have, if that was a legal shot, I don't think it was. But good luck at him again. Hitting Usyk with 2 clean shots in 12 rounds
Devours
is an
hype whole. Dubois may come in louder, his muscles coiled, his promises blazing, but Usyk doesn't need noise. He speaks in silence, and when he strikes, it's with surgical precision. Froch's call for Usyk to back out before it's too late doesn't come across like a prediction. It lands more like a plea.
Now, I believe
because when the
Usyk
bell
has
rings,
more
it may
fans in UK than any of the other...
not be Dubois who delivers the shock. It could be Usyk who delivers another cold, calculated lesson. Dave Allen, the British heavyweight known for his resilience, has no illusions. Having shared over 40 rounds of sparring with Usyk, Allen delivered a chilling admission. He never landed cleanly. Not once. He called Dubois a powerhouse, no doubt, but then doused the surrounding hype with the cold reality of experience.
Go through with it. He's done the work. He's gone through the pedigree, and he's a certified champion. So, I think he has big hopes on doing it. He's going to do it.
From the beginning, I was one of the first guys to come on record. From the beginning, I told him he can come, and I can teach him some pointers.
Usyk, he says, isn't just evasive. He's untouchable. A phantom who makes punchers swing at air until their resolve collapses. Allen isn't talking about brute force. He's describing a slow psychological erosion. The mental exhaustion of trying everything and finding nothing that works. The suffocation of realizing that power, timing, aggression, none of it matters when you're facing a puzzle with no solution.
I've seen him. Usyk was a hell of a fighter, a gold medalist, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but he was behind the scenes. Two guys with...
People remember the controversial low blow from their first encounter. What they forget is what happened after. Dubois didn't pounce. He froze. There was no killer instinct, no ruthless follow-up, just hesitation. Against a master like Usyk, that's a fatal pause. In that moment, Usyk wasn't just controlling the ring, he was controlling Dubois' mind. That punch wasn't just physical, it was mental domination. Dubois walked into fire and blinked. But the most humiliating...
Consummate professional, all right? He's not going to be easy. I don't care how you come at him. He's a consummate professional. He's unique in that he'll bring...
Twist for Dubois might not come in the ring. Asagasa Kleos, a longtime boxing insider, recently pointed out something that cuts deeper than any jab. Usyk commands more crowd support in the UK than Dubois. In Dubois' own backyard, it's the Ukrainian who's the crowd favorite. The cheers, the chants, the energy, it's all tilted toward Usyk. It's not just a tactical takeover anymore, it's cultural. Dubois isn't defending home turf, he's renting it from a global icon. And when legends speak, the boxing world listens. Lennox Lewis, the former undisputed heavyweight champion, didn't mock Dubois. He doesn't need to. But he also didn't sugarcoat.
Dedicated to the sport, they're not consistent. Or I think the biggest factor is they're not confident in themselves, or they just ain't mentally prepared to be.
Mock Dubois. He doesn't need to. But he also didn't sugarcoat anything. Lewis praised Dubois for his strength, his heart, his effort. The fundamentals are there. But fundamentals won't win a war when you're up against a ring general like Usyk, who can read every twitch, bait every punch, and turn your strength into a trap. To Lewis, Usyk isn't just elite, he's operating on another level. And in the ring, power fades, precision remains king. Then comes the biggest name in boxing, Floyd Mayweather. The undefeated icon isn't just offering support.
I mean, a little bit of inactivity because of the fight falling through against Joseph Parker, but, you know, it's exciting. And I think...
From afar. According to insiders, Mayweather is all in on Team Usyk. Behind closed doors, he's allegedly offering tactical advice, mental warfare strategies, everything that made Floyd great in his own era. And, in perhaps the biggest sting of all, sources claim Mayweather privately warned Dubois to withdraw from the rematch. This is unwinnable, he reportedly said, calling the matchup a death sentence for Dubois' ambitions.
He has a good chance, definitely. Daniel Dubois, when I saw his fight against Urgevich, which I said last time when he was fighting Joshua, I said, this guy is a beast, he's a good fighter, he's a hard fighter to beat. And I think he'll learn from the mistakes he made in the first fight against Usyk, and he will give him a hard fight. Look.
To Mayweather, Usyk isn't just a fighter, he's a weapon. But perhaps the most brutal betrayal comes from within Dubois' own story. James Ali Bashir, once a key figure in Dubois' corner, has now turned critic. He isn't just backing Usyk, he's dismantling Dubois' entire comeback narrative. Bashir brushed aside Dubois' recent victories, including his hard-earned win over Jarrell Miller, as nothing more than smoke and mirrors. Survival acts, he called them. Bashir insists Dubois has heart, but against a technician like Usyk, it won't be enough. This isn't about loyalty, he says, it's about reality. And finally, boxing analyst...
I consider this fight to be way more dangerous for Usyk than the previous one. Now we see Daniel Dubois, not a prospect, a young kid anymore.
The cracks in his confidence. Masatuma, a purist with a sharp tongue, tears into the hype machine from both sides. He credits Usyk's technique but questions his grit when a fight gets dirty. Yet it's Dubois who takes the harshest criticism. Masatuma calls him emotionally fragile, mentally untested, and unprepared for the crucible of elite warfare. To him, this isn't a storyline, it's a setup. Dubois hasn't passed a true pressure test.
I kind of figured that one out, but at the end of the day, the whole turning point was after the fifth. It was the sixth round. He did what winners do. He said, I'm not a winner, never let you.
And come July 19th, that pressure might crack him. Again. It may end as Daniel Dubois' televised collapse. And while Eddie Hearn is doing his best to rally support, it's clear the energy around this rematch feels different, darker, more desperate. Personally, Hearn says, I consider this fight to be way more dangerous for Usyk than the previous one. But that sentiment feels less like belief and more like salesmanship. Dubois is no longer the young prospect with limitless potential. He's a man who's been unmasked, and the cracks in his confidence are now visible. His tone in interviews feels rehearsed, like he's selling hope rather than living it. That loss to Joseph Parker didn't just drop Dubois, it unraveled him. The aura shattered, the holes were exposed, and no one's sure they've been patched. Meanwhile, Oleksandr Usyk continues to sharpen his blade. Amir Khan praises Dubois' improvements. He speaks of renewed focus, improved conditioning, and real hunger. He calls this version of
I didn't take it out of the judge's hands, so I had left it to someone's opinion and it went against me. So am I going to cry about spilt milk? No. Have I cried?
Dubois more complete. But even Khan, ever the optimist, admits it may not be enough. Usyk, he concedes, is too fast, too smart, too calculated. This isn't just a second chance for Dubois, it's a test of whether he ever truly belonged at this level. In the shadows, the psychological warfare wages on. Usyk's longtime promoter, Oleksandr Usyk, offers kind words for Dubois. He calls him refined and dangerous. But make no mistake, this isn't admiration, it's strategy, classic misdirection. The higher you lift the threat, the more powerful the hero becomes when he destroys it. Usyk isn't hyping Dubois, he's staging a sacrifice. Power, he smirks, means nothing when it swings at air. Then comes Teddy Atlas, the voice of no-nonsense boxing truth. He doesn't speak in metaphors. He doesn't praise highlight reels. He focuses on the intangibles. Usyk, he says, is a generational fighter, one who could have thrived in any era. It's not about speed or knockout power. It's about balance, mental toughness, adaptability, the stuff that doesn't fade, the traits that define legends. And lurking in the background, still shouting into the void, is Tyson Fury. Fresh off back-to-back defeats to Usyk, he screams about revenge, redemption, reclaiming the throne. But the bravado feels hollow. Usyk didn't just beat him, he dismantled him. Fury's size, his tricks, his bravado, none of it mattered. He was outthought, outmaneuvered, and outlasted.